This video will go over what is personalized learning and kind of an overview of personalized learning. In personalized learning, and this is just one idea, and there's a lot of different ideas of what personalized learning is, but and the idea that I'm bringing forward is that personalized learning is somewhere where the learner has some element of control over time, place, the path, and or the pace of the learning. So it's not saying that it has to be all four of those things. It could be one, it could be two, it could be parts of them, but the idea is you put the control into the hands of the learner. So what we're going to start with is we're going to talk about the difference between personalization, differentiation, and individualization. In individualization, I think of the words of IEP, or Individualized Educational Plan. It's about, for a student, having someone else identify your challenges and then having a plan of how do we adapt given those challenges. It is individualized, but someone else kind of talks about it. It's kind of more focused in on what you can't do instead of what you like to do. In differentiation, I see this as where classrooms kind of put students into groups by learning goals and by learning abilities. So it's kind of like that idea of ability grouping, and the goals can be the same for all the students in that group. Okay, and so it kind of varies about the preferences for each student, but a lot of times it's not usually self-selected by students. It's where the teacher again is the one and places students into groups. Personalization is learning that's paced to the learning needs of a student, but then tailored to their preferences as well and their interests as a learner. And so really personalization encompasses differentiation and individualization. So it takes kind of the best of everything and then says, how can we really give the power back to the learner on this? So this slide talks about the difference between personalization, differentiation, and individualization. And there's actually a handout that you'll see in the Schoology class about this. The biggest idea here is that personalization is more learner driven, and where differentiation and individualization is teacher directed. And so the idea is that can we give more of the, not just the ownership of the learning, but the time put into the learning. I so think that so many times students would come to my classroom to see me as a teacher work really hard. And how can we kind of shift that so we're all working with the same goal of learning? And there's just some ideas in here about how does teaching and learning look when it relates to these kind of terms. And you'll have this presentation available to you as well. And the big thing is, how does a learner participate? I've kind of alluded to this too. It's about actively participating, and it's about who owns it. And so that's going to be our goal, is we go from do this because I told you to do this because it's kind of cool and engaging. And then hopefully we're really getting to this personalization of do it because I know I'm going to learn and I'm empowered to learn. With assessment, when you're talking about assessment, when you talk about personalization and assessment, there is some changes that you really think about assessment as learning, as students are learning, and for learning, but we kind of back off on how do we assess what has been learned. That's almost like it's not that it doesn't happen at all, but it's kind of reduced in a reduced fashion. The ideal here is that the teacher and technology work together. So on your Schoology course, you're going to see a discussion prompt. And I want you to post one discussion prompt and reply to someone else's if anyone else has posted so far on this prompt. Is personalized learning something that someone or something personalizes for you, or do you personalize your learning for yourself? And understand there's no right answer here. Then we're going to go on, and there's a Padlet you'll see in your Schoology course about how we can kind of see these three terms in your learning environment. So just share how you have seen it and how you have ideas on how you might see it in the future when it comes to personalization, differentiation, or individualization. Thank you.